David has experience, a lot of you would know him from his previous roles in employment services, refugee advocacy, community and economic development initiatives. And he's also got an interesting background in marketing, tech, music and hospitality. Seems like you've done everything, David. Please welcome David New.
Thank you.
Looks good.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. And as Lauren said, my name is David New. I'm the employment facilitator for the local jobs program for our employment region, Darling Downs employment region. After listening to me today, you might decide the future of jobs is ChatGPT, because I have not used it today. If you don't know what ChatGPT is, I suggest everyone jump on that after you've jumped on the Employ Toowoomba website, which is terrific, by the way, and have a look what that can do. It speaks to a lot of stuff about automation. I've heard recent stories about people using it in HR, in writing social media posts and writing speeches, which I have not done today. So I'm really here to talk not so much about future workforce, but really a little bit about present workforce. But I think there's some learnings in there that hopefully you can take away from that. So I just wanted to start with a little bit about what the local jobs program is and does. So Workforce Australia Local Jobs brings together expertise, resources and access to funding at the local level. So it's all about place-based solutions to support job seekers in their communities with a particular focus on reskilling, upskilling and employment pathways. Darling Downs employment region covers 6 or 7 LGAs, I think 4 in whole, 3 in part, but about 50% of our job seekers are in Toowoomba, so probably 50% of our focus is in Toowoomba. And some of the work we do is around this sort of stuff, connecting people to training and employment opportunities, supporting local stakeholders to identify existing employment services and training services, collaborate and help develop and deliver new opportunities and activities. And if anyone wants to chat about new activities or new opportunities and how to fund them, I'm around all day, and I'd love to meet you. And enhance coordination and linkages with all levels of government, and I acknowledge that all levels of government are here today, which is terrific. Already mentioned a little bit about the region. So I'm just going to move on to Australian government employment programs. I'm just going to go through this really quickly. Workforce Australia providers, we'll come back to in a minute. Employability skills training and transition to work are programs aimed at, I suppose, predominantly younger people. Career transition assistance, terrific program for over 45s. Self-employment assistance is what it says it is. We also have the Harvest Trail, which is the seasonal workers program. AgMove is the relocation assistance for seasonal workers, I think. And Parents Next, which is I saw Tanya in the room earlier. Under 6 parents I always get this wrong. Parents of children under 6. Is that right?
Parents who receive impairment and have children under the age of 6.
Thank you. I'm so glad when Tanya comes along. So, what is Workforce Australia? I know some of you are going to know this stuff, but just thought I'd just go through it because there's been some changes. So, Workforce Australia helps Australians find and keep a job, change jobs or create their own jobs. It's at the top, the employment service delivered by the Department of Employment and Workplace Relations, of which we've got a couple of representatives here today. I'm more than happy for you to ask them all the questions you want around these services. It includes a new online service and a network of providers to deliver personalised support. And obviously the focus is on delivering services to unemployed job seekers and people on income support payments and employers. So this is the program that replaced Job Active in July last year. The main differences more tailored support, more intense engagement with job seekers. Job seekers have more freedom to choose how they're going to meet their mutual obligations. And there is more of a focus on meeting employers' recruitment needs. And you'll see in a minute, things look very different to pre-July 1st last year. So these are the main sort of provider services that we've got, and these are all in Toowoomba. So between these services, we have over 6,000 people in Toowoomba that are on payments and are connected to one of these services. Around 60% are with Workforce Australia providers. Don't do maths here because I think it adds up to just over 100. 5% with Transition to Work, which is the service for younger people. Around 20% for Workforce Australia Online. It's people who self-serviced, I suppose, is the right word. And 15%-ish for Parents Next. What is it not? It's not Disability Employment Services, which sits under a different government department. Just a quick snapshot of what we've got in Toowoomba. As you can see, we have 3 main provider services, or they're called enhanced services: AIM Big Employment, Busy at Work, and Serena Russo. They're all pretty much new to our region in this capacity, which has meant that there's been quite a lot of disruption, and we're working hard to kind of reconnect links with providers and their communities and employers. In the Parents Next space, we have 2 providers, Optech and Multicultural Australia, and in Transition to Work is delivered by Busy at Work across the region. So what I wanted to talk about was this. So what does the Workforce Australia caseload look like? As I said, over 6,000 people in Toowoomba alone, about 11,000, 12,000 across the Darling Downs employment region. And there's some really overrepresented cohorts. So 20% Indigenous people, which is 4 or 5 times the population, the Indigenous population for Toowoomba, or the percentage. So that's very high. Around 20% from culturally and linguistically diverse communities, or called. And so that's about 1,000 people that are from diverse backgrounds, or culturally diverse backgrounds, and of them about 700 are refugees. We have, I always find it's quite a high figure. It's nearly a third of mature age, over 50s. So if we're looking to find, if we're looking to, I suppose the message is, we're looking for employers. If employers are looking for workforce, need to get innovative around these cohorts and work out how to employ them. As service providers, we need to work out how to service them better, so they're at a stage where they can get into training and employment pathways. 36% people with a disability, which is also a really high number, and we don't have a lot of data around what those disabilities are. But these people that sometimes may have chosen to stay with mainstream employment services themselves and not go to disability employment services, they may have a disability that's considered not enough to be connected with disability employment services or a pension or whatever else. So, and then finally, 22% youth, and I'm really not sure how I feel about that figure. It sounds like quite a lot. I don't know if it's quite a lot. It's maybe people. I don't know whether people think we're expecting higher. But then the headline figure from this, which is the real difference from pre-1st of July last year, is that we're creeping up in long-term unemployed participants. So overall, in Toowoomba, it's up to 89%. That's people that have been unemployed for 12 months or more. So I just think it's important that it's not a, this is not a negative kind of, but is a bit negative. It's not a negative presentation I wanted to give, but I just wanted to kind of tell you these are the challenges we've got with our present workforce that are connected with Workforce Australia. And it is a caseload with lots of challenges, lots of barriers, but it's also perhaps a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get these guys into employment and to skilling pathways whilst they're at the front of the queue, because we all know that this labour market is extraordinary and isn't going to last forever, and those people are not going to be at the front of the queue in a year, 2 years, I don't know, 6 months. Well, it's going to change. So, and I suppose we've got a couple more bits. I was going to say that a lot of these challenges are not just, or these overrepresented cohorts are not just a Toowoomba thing, not a Darling Downs thing. And it does vary quite a lot across our region, some of these percentages. But to give you an idea, you know, it's a similar picture across the country. And this was actually came from the National Skills Commission, and it talks about even in the job seekers market, some people will continue to struggle. There's just some points there. The youth unemployment rate nationally is more than double the all persons rate, and youth disengagement continues to be a problem, especially in some regions. Mature age people, interesting fact, less likely to be unemployed, but they have a much higher duration of unemployment, which I'd love to see us working on. Indigenous people, as I said, are overrepresented on the caseload. People with a disability and their carers are less likely to be participating in the labour force, and are also overrepresented, as we saw. Migrants and refugees often require additional assistance, which we all know, and Toowoomba is just a fantastic example of fantastic servicing for migrants and refugees, with some brilliant outcomes in the last few years, and is often used as an example nationally around good models. So, and low socio-economic status equals lower educational attainment and intergenerational unemployment, which we do have issues with here in Toowoomba, as well as some other parts of our region. I think that's kind of about it. I was just going to pop this up around participation. I think Jenny spoke a little bit about this. I don't know whether you had specifically, but 49,500 in Toowoomba employed full-time, 28,400 part-time, 3,000 unemployed. Not in the labour force, 54,200. I haven't got the exact figures, but we have lower participation in Toowoomba than most of Queensland.
That's in the 15 to 64 age group.
In the working age, yeah.
That does include retirees.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I'm a little bit focused on as I'm getting older myself, worried about my own future. But you know, I come from the UK, as you can probably hear, and we over there have a lot of old people that are poor, and here in Toowoomba there's a lot more old people that have some money, and I think it'd be great to look to getting some of those guys back into the workforce for their own mental health and for the sake of not bothering their children like me so much. My mum's probably a little bit older, 85, so yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, that's it, guys, and thank you. And you're more than welcome if anyone's got any questions. Bearing in mind that I'm here all day, so I can answer you annoying questions later. But yeah, thanks very much.